Kare from Dharavi TC Municipal English Secondary School welcomes you all in statewide live online lectures for Standard 10th. Today, we are continuing with the subject Science and Technology Part 2. Before starting to the subject, I would like to give you some instructions like keep your mic on mute mode. Kindly raise your hand if you want to ask any question, doubt, or if you want to give an answer. Kindly unmute your mic after giving your answer, after asking your question or a doubt. Keep your pen and notebook handy to write down some important points. Do not make use of your mobile while it's charging. And kindly update your Zoom profile by writing your name, standard, division, and your school name. So, students, we will start with our subject Science and Technology Part 2. So, we were studying chapter number 6. Chapter number 6, Animal Classification. Now, why we are classifying the animals? Because it makes very easy to understand the animal and its characteristics, right? So, we have started with the lesson number 6, Animal Classification. In that, yesterday we have covered with the phylum. We have started with the phylum Chordates Chordata, and in that we have completed the subphylum Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Today we are going to start with the subphylum Vertebrata or Craniata. So students, just pay attention here. We will take a quick recap that all the animals are classified into the kingdom Animalia, right? And that kingdom is divided into subkingdoms. Subkingdom non-chordates and subkingdom chordates. Subkingdom non-chordates is also divided into 10 phylums. And subkingdom chordates is divided into the phylum Chordata, and that chordata is subdivided into 3 subphylums, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. So students, we in the previous class we have completed about this subphylum Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and characteristics of Vertebrata. Today we are going to start when the Vertebrata, the subphylum Vertebrata is divided into 6 classes: Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. So today we are going to learn about the class Cyclostomata, Pisces, and Amphibia. Okay. Yesterday I gave you a trick to remember non-chordates. What was that sentence? It was powerful cat placed an apple around mouse which echoed hard. In that you can learn, you can memorize all the 10 phylums of non-chordates. Now here I have given you one trick to remember phylum Chordata. You just have to keep in mind that you clap vertical. So U stands for Urochordata, C stands for Cephalochordata, and vertical this VERT stands for Vertebrata. So you clap vertical. In this sentence, you can remember 3 subphylums of phylum Chordata, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Let us take some revision about the Urochordates. The examples are Herdmania, Doliolum, Oikopleura. So, subphylum Urochordata, the animal belonging to these subphylums are marine animals, right? Their body is covered with skin-like vest or tunic. Tunic is nothing but the strong and flexible covering. You can say a sheet around an organism. Okay, but it is a flexible so that they can move in any direction. Larvae of these animals are freely swimming and notochord is present in only tail region of larvae. Hence, they are called as urochordates. In this urochordate, the notochord, the supporting part which is present only in larva, and that is also in a tail region. That is why they are called as urochordates. Okay. Larvae metamorphose into adult after settling down at bottom of the sea. Larvae which are freely swimming, they settles at the bottom and develops into the adult organism. Okay. Generally, these animals are hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite means both the reproductive organs, male and female reproductive organs, are present in a same animal. So this is all about the Urochordates. Okay. Now let us move towards the next, that is Cephalochordata. Now the Cephalochordata, these are small fish-like marine animals. These are fish-like animals but not fish, and they are marine animals. Notochord is present throughout the body length. The notochord, the supporting part, whatever the structure that is present throughout the body length, and pharynx is large and contains gill slits. And these animals are unisexual, means male and female sexes are separate, and they perform the external fertilization. Okay, the example is Amphioxus. Just we are taking a revision of yesterday's class. Okay, the subphylum vertebrata or craniata. In these animals, notochord is present by replaced by vertebral column. So notochord, which is present in urochordates and cephalochordates, it is getting replaced by vertebral column. You can just touch your back and you can feel a bony structure at the middle of your back, that is also known as backbone. Okay. In this animal, head is well developed. If you see, human beings have a well developed head. Okay. Brain is protected by cranium. I told you yesterday, the brain is covered with the thick covering that is called as cranium or a skull. Because of that, vertebrata is also known as craniata. What is the main function of cranium? It is a protection of brain. Endoskeleton is either cartilaginous or bony. Endoskeleton means inner framework of the body, that may be cartilaginous or a bony. Some chordates are jawless and some are with jaw. Those who are with jawless, they are known as superclass Agnatha, and those who are with jaws, they are known as the superclass Gnathostomata. So this is all about phylum Vertebrata. Now moving to the next is the today's topic. Phylum Chordata is subdivided into the classes. That is, first is a Cyclostomata, class Pisces, class Amphibia, class Reptilia, class Aves, and class Mammalia. Let's start with the class Cyclostomata. Now, here you can see, you can observe this organism present in the class Cyclostomata. These animals are, they have a round shaped mouth. Okay, they have a elongated body like a snake, right? Their skin is slimy and smooth. Okay, see, if you consider this cyclostomata word, the cyclo means round and stoma means mouth, means rounded mouth. Because of this rounded mouth, they are named as the cyclostomata. Okay, and notochord is present throughout the body. They have a notochord throughout the body. Due to their circular mouth, they are named as the cyclostomata. They may be called as eels. Eels means what? They are like a snake, but not snake. Cyclostomata is a group of agnathas. Agnatha means what? Just now I told you. The chordates, they are jawless. They don't have a jaw. Jaw means a set of bones which carries the teeth. Like we are all human beings have a jaw. Every other than cyclostomata have a jaw. The two jaws, upper jaw and a lower jaw. Upper jaw is a stable, and the lower jaw is a movable. Okay, so this cyclostomata has a jawless mouth. Okay, These animals have jawless mouth. Just now I told you they don't have a jaw, upper jaw and a lower jaw. They don't have a jaw. They have a rounded mouth. So this is one characteristics. These animals have jawless mouth provided with the suckers. You can see here they are the suckers, very horny suckers they are having, and a very tough tongue they are having, muscular tongue they are having. And these suckers they use to hold something to attach with the something, to get attached with the something, they are using these suckers. Okay, by which they can attach themselves to the side of the fishes and other object. They attach themselves with these suckers to the other fishes because they are ectoparasites. Okay, so got this much. They are jawless. Their skin is soft and without any scales. Their skin is very soft and body is long, eel-like. They are primitive vertebrates, and their body is small, soft, very smooth and slimy, slippery, scaleless to move in a water for less friction of skin and water. Okay, the skin is soft, slimy and smooth. Because of that they get a little bit, they get a less friction in the water and they can move easily in the water. Paired appendages are absent. Appendages means what? Appendages mean the outgrowth. Okay, any kind of a outgrowth or a projecting part on the body of the organism is known as appendages. You can call it as limbs or legs, but they have a appendages, they don't have appendages on their body. Okay, endoskeleton is cartilaginous. Endoskeleton means inner framework of the organism. That may be cartilaginous or bony. That is a cartilaginous. Endo, if you talk about the endoskeleton, the endo means inner or inside, skeleton means the covering. So endoskeleton means inner covering or internal framework of body, which protects internal organ of an organism. Okay. Endoskeleton is cartilaginous. Cartilaginous means what? It is made up of a main type of a tissue, that is a connective tissue. It is tough, but it is flexible. Okay, that is tough, but it is flexible to move in a water. It is less than dense, matlab it is less hard than bone, but it is tough. So endoskeleton is made up of connective tissue, means cartilage is known as cartilaginous endoskeleton. What is the function of this endoskeleton? The functions of endoskeletons are provide support for the body. This endoskeleton provides support to the body, protects internal organs. Whatever the internal organs this animal is having, they are getting protected by this endoskeleton. Gives shape to the body and helps in quick movement in the water. Right? Most of the animals are ectoparasite. Just now I said the word ectoparasite. If you think about this word, ecto means outside or outer. Parasite means which lives in or on host for nutrition. He needs that organism needs a host for his nutrition. So ectoparasite means an organism live in or on other organism for nutrition. See here, this ectoparasite, cyclostomata, which is attaching himself to the other big fish for nutrition. So this cyclostomata is a ectoparasite. Why he is ectoparasite? Because he is attaching himself to the other organism for nutrition. He is attaching himself with the help of sucker and he is sucking the blood and other nutrients from that particular organism for his own development. So cyclostomata, most of these animals are ectoparasite. Got this much? So examples of cyclostomata are petromyzon or myxin. So these are the two examples of cyclostomata, petromyzon or myxin. See here, these two animals, they are looking like a snake, but they are not snakes. They are having a very smooth, slimy covering, means skin, and they have no appendages, no outgrowth on their body. Okay, they are jawless, they have a round mouth, that is why they are known as cyclostomata. Their sexes are separate, means they are unisexual, and they perform the external fertilization. Some maybe are hermaphrodite, means they both the male and female reproductive organs are present in a same body. So this is about the class cyclostomata. Okay, let us move to the next class, that is Pisces. So by observing this picture, you will come to know that we are talking about the fishes. The class Pisces, generally all fishes are included into the class Pisces. Okay. Now, these animals belong to the class Pisces are commonly called fishes. Okay. They exclusively live in the water. Fish always lives in the water. These are with jaw vertebrates. Jaw means, I told you, set of bones, maxilla and mandible, both upper jaw and lower jaw. Upper jaw is a stationary jaw, which is known as maxilla, and lower jaw, which is movable, that is known as mandible. They have a specific organs for respiration. They have a circulation, and they have a excretory system, like the various systems they are having in their body. They are cold-blooded animals. Close type of blood circulation is observed. Heart is present. Sexes are separate. Fertilization may be external or internal. Okay, so we'll learn the characteristics of this class Pisces one by one. These are cold-blooded or poikilotherms aquatic animals. Animals that are not capable of regulating their body temperature according to the temperature of the surrounding, means they are not able to maintain a constant body temperature. They are known as cold-blooded animals. These animals, they are not able to maintain their body temperature constant. Like we, the human beings, they maintain their body temperature constant. Okay, but these animals, which are considered under the class Pisces, they are cold-blooded animals. They are not able to resist their body temperature at the constant level. Their body temperature fluctuates according to the environment. For example, the environmental uh, temperature is 10 degrees centigrade, so their body temperature will also drop to the 10 degrees centigrade. Okay, so they what is the benefit of this? They need a less food. They need less food to survive, as energy requirement is less for the survival. So what is the cold-blooded animal? You just have to keep in mind, the animal which cannot maintain their body temperature constant irrespective of surrounding temperature are called cold-blooded animals. Okay. Now, here one word has come, poikilotherms. Let us understand the meaning of this poikilotherms. This word poikilotherm, the word is derived from Greek word poikilos. Poikilos means varied and thermos means heat. So, poikilotherm is an animal whose internal temperature varies considerably. They are also known as ectotherm. The environment controls the body temperature of the poikilotherms. Their body temperature is dependent on the environment. As the temperature of the environment fluctuates, their body temperature also get fluctuated. Although they can heat and cool themselves by moving in and out of the sun. If they want to increase their body temperature, they go and sit in the sun rays. Okay, they comes at the top of the water level and they take the heat. If they want to cool down their body temperature, they shade their body in the shade. Okay, They live in marine salty water or marine water means I told you, which is not fresh water, that is salty water, maybe a sea water or a ocean water, and they may be a freshwater dwellers, means they can be live in the fresh water. Fresh water means naturally occurring water which is not salty. What is much? The cold-blooded animals and the poikilothum, the meaning is same. So you may get question regarding this. You may get a word like cold-blooded or maybe poikilothum. The meaning of the both the words is same. Now moving to the next, that is aquatic animals live in marine and fresh waters. I just told you marine water means that water which is a salty, a sea water or a ocean water. Fresh water, naturally occurring water but which is not salty, like a river, pond, lake water, that is known as a fresh water. So aquatic animals living in marine as well as in fresh water. Body is spindle shaped to minimize water resistance. Here you can see in this picture the red color covering, it is shown in a spindle shaped body. This is a spindle shaped body. Spindle means what? Tapering at the ends and wide at the middle. So why this kind of a body structure they are having? To reduce the water resistance and to have a quick movement in the water. Okay, it helps to move faster and reduce resistance. So because of spindle shape, there is a less friction of water and body, which helps fishes to move faster in water. Because of less friction of body and water, they move very fast in the water. Got this much? Now moving to the next. They have paired and unpaired fins for swimming. Here in this picture you can see they have a dorsal fin, they have a tail fin, anal fin, pelvic fin, pectoral fins. So they have paired and unpaired fins for swimming. Okay, now fins means what? A flattened appendages outgrowth on the various parts of the body of many aquatic vertebrates. So here they are outgrowth on their body. So they may be paired. Paired matlab in they are two or a single one. Maybe paired or unpaired. Why this fins are present on the body? What is the function of the fins of this species? The function of these fins are to propel in the water, to steering or to balancing in the water. They are using these fins to move in the water, to get a stability in the water, or to change the direction in the water. Now see, propelling means what? Drive or push forward. Just to push their body forward, they are using these fins. They are to steer, control their direction. If they want to move in any direction, they can control their direction with the help of these fins. Balancing, or to maintain a balance in the water, they want to be a steady in the water level, they can use these fins and they can stabilize their body. Okay, so they are used to push themselves forward, to control their direction and to be in a steady position. They are using this fins. Now there are different types of fins. You can see here dorsal fin, tail fin, anal fin, pelvic fin and pectoral fin. So what are the uses of this? What are the functions of this fin? See, dorsal fin gives the stability in swimming. Okay, caudal fin or a tail fin. You may get a question about this tail fin, or you can say this is a caudal fin. It is a steering to control the direction. This fin controls the direction of the fish. If the fish want to move in any direction, they can use this caudal fin to change their direction. Okay. Anal fin also lends to stability in the swimming. If they want to stable, they want to reduce their speed, they can use this anal fin to get the stability. Then pectoral fin, pectoral fins are for the locomotion and side to side movements. If they want to do the side to side movement, they can use this pectoral fin. And the Pelvic fin is to help to help balance the fish, keep it level, and prevent it from rolling from side to side. It also gives the stability and it helps to maintain balance. Okay, so these are the functions of the different fins. So keep in mind about the tail fin, that is also known as a caudal fin. And what is the function of this caudal fin? To control the direction. It is like a steering. It controls the direction of the fish. So they have a paired and unpaired fins for swimming. Moving to the next is tail fin is useful as a steering organ during swimming. Just now I gave you example. Here I am showing this is a tail fin, or you can say a caudal fin, which is worked as a it is useful as a steering organ during swimming. You might have seen the four-wheeler. They are having a steering, because of the with the help of the steering we are changing the direction of the vehicle. So the same way here the fish is using his tail fin or a caudal fin for changing his direction in the water while swimming. Okay. Exoskeleton is in the form of scale. Till time we were learning about the endoskeleton, means the inner framework. Now it is the exoskeleton. Exo means what? Exo means outer or outside, and skeleton means the covering. So outer covering means exoskeleton of fish is made up of scales. Here you can see the scales. It is made up of scales. But what is scales? Scales are a small, thin, horny or bony plates protecting skin of the fish. You can see these are a horny hard plates over the skin which protects the fish. Okay, they provide smoothness to the body by overlapping each other. Here you can see they have overlapped each other. Because of this structure, this position, they give smoothness to the skin. Okay, scale protects fish from predator and parasites and reduces friction with the water. What is the function of this scale? What they do, they protect the fish from other predators and parasites, and all as well as it gives the reduces the friction of water and skin, and because of that they can move faster in the water. Be due to smoothness, they are overlapped on each other. This structure gives the smoothness, and because of this smoothness water friction reduces and fish can move a little bit faster in the water. So exoskeleton is in the form of scale. Scales are small, thin, horny or bony plates protecting the skin of the fish. Next, endoskeleton is either cartilaginous or bony. Now again, endoskeleton. Endo means inner or inside, and skeleton means framework, the inner framework of the body which protects internal organs of the organism, that is known as endoskeleton. It is either cartilaginous or a bony. Cartilaginous means it is made up of a special type of tissue that is known as connective tissues, and these tissues are hard but they are flexible. And because of their flexibility, the animal which is present in the water, they can move faster in the water. Okay, it allows quick movements through water without using too much energy. It is less dense. I told you cartilaginous, it is less dense, but it is less dense compared to bone, but it is flexible. Okay. Bony means what? The bones are they are made up of hard and tough organ. They are made up of protein, minerals, calcium, phosphates, and vitamins. Bones are hard and inelastic and tough organs. If you observe your bones which are present in your body, they are not flexible, they are hard, they are tough, and they are inelastic, right? And they are made up of proteins, minerals, calcium, phosphates, and vitamins. So endoskeleton is either cartilaginous or bony. Respiration occurs with gills. Respiration occurs with gills means what? Gills are paired respiratory organ present either side of the body, which ex, extra, which take the dissolved oxygen and given out the CO2 in the water. So respiration is taking place with the help of the gills. What the gills do? They absorb, they take the extract the dissolved oxygen in the whatever the dissolved oxygen present in the water. They extract that oxygen and they given out the O2, means carbon dioxide in the water. When the water moves through these gills, the dissolved oxygen from the water passes through the thin wall of the gills and blood vessels and enters the blood. Water, CO2 present in the blood passes into the water. See here, you can see the uh, thin wall of the gills and blood vessels. In this way, the oxygen is taken in and CO2 is given out in the water. In this way, the fish breathes in the water with the help of gills. Gills have, you have to keep in mind that when the water moves through the gills, the dissolved oxygen from the water passes through the thin walls of the gills and uh, blood vessels and enters to the blood. And waste CO2 present in the blood passes into the water with the help of gills. So fish perform their respiration with the help of gills. Now these are some of the examples of class Pisces: Rohu, Pomfret, shark, electric ray, stingray. Okay, these are some of the examples. So we have completed Cyclostomata and class Pisces. Now we will move toward the next, that is class Amphibia. So let us talk about the class Amphibia. The word amphibian comes from the Greek word amphibious, which means to live double life. Amphibious means to live double life. Amphi means of both kinds and bios means life. So the word is used for animals that spend part of their life in water and part on land. These are the first cold-blooded animal to have appeared on the land. This can live both on land and in water. They may have a tail or may not have a tail. Skin may be smooth or rough but has a glands to keep moist. They respire through skin as well as lungs. Sexes are separate, means unisexual. They reproduce sexually. Fertilization is external or internal. So these are some of the characteristics. We will see them one by one. These animals are strictly aquatic during larval stage. Larva means what? An active, immature form of an organism. Before it gets mature, the whatever the form of the animal is there, that is known as a larva. So larva is strictly aquatic during these animals are strictly aquatic during larval stage. Larval stage, in this stage, they do not come out of the water. They have to remain present in the water to live their life. Okay. Larvae of amphibians lead only an aquatic life. They breathe through gills. See here, larvae of amphibians, they live their life in water. Why? Because they just have a gills, and gills are gills. What they do? What is the function of the gills? The function of the gills is to is respiration in water. So here the larvae has a gills which allows them to respire only in water. If they come out of the water, they are not able to respire. because gills are part of the organism which allows them to respire in water. That is why larvae of amphibians lead only an aquatic life because they have gills. During larval life and perform only aquatic respiration, whereas they can live in water as well as on land during adult life and can perform aquatic as well as aerial respiration. See, when the larva develops into the adult organism, adult one, they matures. As they mature, they develops lungs in their body. Amphibians, I'm talking about the amphibians. What they do, they develop the lungs in their body, and because of that, what they do, they can perform respiration on land with the help of lungs. And when they are in the water, the adult form of the amphibian, when they are in the water, they perform the respiration with the help of skin. The skin is made up in this form. They can respire, they can absorb the oxygen with the help of skin, and they can respire in the water with the help of skin. So amphibians, they can respire in the water with the help of skin, and on land, when they come on the land, they have developed a lungs system in them, so they can respire with the help of lung on the land. In this way, they perform their dual life. Okay, that is why they are known as the amphibians. They have two pairs of appendages. Appendages, I told you, appendages means outgrowth. Here you can see they have a paired appendages, outgrowth. You can say limbs or legs. They have a paired appendages. Digits are without claws. Digits, they have two pairs of appendages. Digits are without claws. In Latin, digitus means finger or toe. In Latin, digitus means finger or toe. So you can say fingers or toe of these amphibians. Without claws. Claws means what? A curved, pointed, horny nail on each digit of the foot in birds or cats. You might have observed the cat or bird. They are having a small, sharp, pointed, curved nail type structure. They use that to hold something, to scratch something, or to tear something. Okay, that is known as claws. But if you observe these amphibians, here you cannot find these claws. So these amphibians are without claws. They have digits, they have fingers, they have toes, but they are without claws. Means that sharp curved nails, nail-like structure they don't have. Who don't have? The amphibian don't have. Okay. Exoskeleton is absent. Exoskeleton, exo means outer, skeleton means covering or covering. Exoskeleton is absent means outer covering is absent in the amphibians. Okay. Skin is without any derivatives means no hair, fur or skin over their no hair or fur on their body. The skin is having glands, various glands. They are having a different glands. Skin is without any derivatives and usually kept moist for respiration. I told you skin is without any derivatives means hair or fur like structure or scales. They don't have such kind of a outer covering on their skin, but their body have a different glands like a mucus glands, different granular glands, sacromucous glands to keep their skin moist for respiration because amphibians respire with the help of their skin. Frogs do not need to drink water since they can absorb it through the skin. They can absorb the water with the help of their skin. Their moist skin is specially designed with tiny blood vessels near the surface to help diffuse oxygen and in and to out. With the help of skin, what they are doing, they are taking the diffuse oxygen inside and they are giving out the CO2 outside of the body. Frog go to the bottom of the oxygen-rich water bodies where they lie on the top of the mud all winter. Being on the top of the mud, let oxygen from the surrounding water gets in through their skin means they hibernate themselves in the winter to protect themselves from the temperature dropping predators or other organism. What they do, they go to the bottom of the water body and they sit there for more than 6 months, and that is known as hibernation. They hibernate themselves. On terrestrial, frogs normally hibernate on land. Estivation is the summer sleep. They search for moist, shady, cool place to sleep under the dense foliage or under the log. Because the temperature is high, according to the environment, their body temperature also get uh, differ. So their body temperature increases. To lower down to body temperature, what they do, they go and rest their body under the log or wherever the moisture or this cold temperature is there, they go and sleep there. External ear is absent but tympanum is present. Here you can see a tympanum. It is a membrane like a structure. So external ear is absent. But tympanum is also called as the frog ear. External ear means what? The outer part of the ear function is to collect the sound waves and guide them to the tympanic membrane. Here, if you observe yourself, you are having an external ear. What the function of this external ear? It grabs the sound and it guides that sound waves to the tympanum, and that tympanum identifies the sound. Okay, but in frog, you will see the external ear is absent. Directly, tympanum is present. Okay. You can say it is a hearing organ of the frog, an air-filled chamber and sensory organ to detect auditory stimuli. It protects the entry of water or other foreign particles object in the inner part of the amphibian's ear. What is the function of this tympanum? It protects the inner part of the ear of this amphibians. It resists the other particles to move inside of this body. It is a membrane capable of vibration. Tympanum is a hearing organ of the amphibians. You can say tympanum is a hearing organ of the amphibians. Neck is absent. Eyes are prominent with eyelids. Here, if you observe, there is no neck found in amphibians, but eyes are prominent and eyelids are present. The bulging eyes are present and they are having a eyelids. Eyelids means the thin fold of skin that covers and protects the eye. Here you can see we are also having a eyelids which protects our eye. Okay. So these are the characteristics of amphibians, and these are some of the examples of amphibia, that is frog, toad, salamander, etc. Though here you can see they may have or may not have a tail. So these are the examples of amphibians. See, you may get a question in your exam. Frog can live on land as well as in water. Frog belongs to class Amphibia. So you can write down the answer here. Amphibians are adapted to live on land and in water. They respire with both lungs and skin. When frog is on land, it respires through lungs, while in water, it respires through skin. Hence, frog can live on land as well as in water. So, frog, when it is in water, he respires with the help of skin, and when it is on land, he respires with the help of lungs. That is why he can live on land as well as in water. Here you may get a next question like, why tortoise are not included in class Amphibia? Though the tortoise can live in water as well as in land, but they are not included in Amphibia. So reasons are, the animal which not only live in water but also on land and respire in both climatic condition are called amphibians. Right? They can live in water, they can live on land, and they can see land and respire in both the climatic condition. But if you're talking about the tortoise respire through lungs but does not have a structure to respire in water. So tortoise have lungs, but when they are in the water, they are not able to respire with the skin. If you see the tortoise nostrils of the tortoise are above the water level. With the help of those nostrils, they respire. Okay, they take the oxygen given out the CO2. So their body is not developed to respire in the water also. Also, tortoise lays egg with the hard shell, which is a characteristics of reptiles. If you see the eggs of the tortoise, their shell is very hard, like a reptiles. Okay, tortoise has a neck, whereas neck is absent in amphibians. Okay, if you observe the tortoise has a neck, but if you observe the frog, there is an absence of neck. Therefore, tortoise is not an amphibian and not included in class Amphibia. Got it? Here are the reasons that you have to write down in your exam. So, summary of the today's topic, we have completed the class Cyclostomata, class Pisces, and class Amphibia. Here, kingdom Animalia, all the animals are included into the kingdom Animalia. That is then subdivided into subkingdom Chordates. Then subkingdom is divided into phylum, phylum Chordata. That phylum Chordata is divided into subphylum, Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Today, we have studied about the three classes, Cyclostomata, Pisces, and Amphibia. So let us move to the our question answer round. You just have to label the diagram here. I'm just marking it. You just have to give the name of this part of the organism. If anybody is there, if you want to give an answer, just raise your hand. What is this? Just label it. This part of the animal. Anybody just try it? Saiba from Khernagar. Just try for it. Sheikh Samira, Mithanagar. Just give a try. Just give a try. What is this? What is this part of this organism called as? Yes, Trupti Rajbar. Yes, give your answer.
मैम जॉलेस माउथ.
या उसको क्या कहते हैं जॉलेस माउथ को? They attaches themselves with the other organism with the help of
sucker.
Sucker. Yes, that is a sucker. Very good, Trupti. We will go for the next. Next, who will going to answer this? Name this part. Yeah.
Caudal fin.
Yes, this is a caudal fin or a tail fin. You can write both the names. Okay, both are correct. Very good. Next, here. Yeah, what is this part of this animal? Yes, anybody try?
Tympanum.
Yes, very good. This is a tympanum. So you may get this type of a question in your board exam. So you have to be thorough with your knowledge. You have to thorough with your diagrams and naming, labeling of the diagrams. Thank you very much, students. We have covered our today's topic. Tomorrow we will continue with the next topic. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Anybody is having any kind of a doubt? Trupti.
Ma'am, what is mean by larva?
Larva is an immature form of an organism. मतलब mature होने से पहले जो होता है उसे larva कहा जाता है. तो if you have observed in the water, जैसे कि आप लोग frog को observe करते हो, उसका पहला वाला जो part रहेगा, मतलब बच्चा रहेगा ना उसका छोटा, जब mature होने के पहले उसे कहा जाता है larva. वो mature होने के बाद वो frog बन जाता है, adult form. So immature form of a organism. It is active. Okay. और किसी को कुछ डाउट है? Anybody is having any doubt, just raise your hand. Here, Trupti, is it clear what is larva? Larva is the active immature form of an organism. Yes, Trupti is here. Okay, so I think I have nobody is having any doubt. Here I can end the session. Thank you everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Shall I end the meeting, ma'am?
मम्मी आता मी आवाज बोलू शकते?